Daf Mem Amud Aleph will begin Daf Lamed Tes Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. We learned previously a machlokes between Rabbi Yana and Rabbi Yochanan regarding the aliyas gairol, if it's ma'akev or not. They both agree that the hanocha is not ma'akev, placing the lot on the goat. The machlokes is whether the aliyah's drawing of the lot is that ma'akev or not. Rabbi Yana says it is, and Rabbi Yochanan says it was not. We had two versions of the machlokes. The second version of the machlokes was that according to Rav Nechemia, who says that anything that the Kohen Gadol does, Big Day Lovan, anything that is done in the Big Day Lovan is ma'akev, then everyone agrees that it's ma'akev because the Hagral was done on the Big Day Lovan. The machlokes is according to Rav Yehuda, who says that only things that are done in the Kodesh Kadoshim, the Big Day Lovan, are ma'akev, but things that are done outside the Kodesh Kadoshim, even if it's in Big Day Lovan, is not ma'akev. So therefore, according to Rabbi Yochanan, we readily understand why it's not ma'akev, because he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. But according to Rabbi Yana, who says that it is ma'akev, why should that be? Because over here it's Shana Lavakos, Shana Lav Allah, Trei Zimna, it says Allah Trei Zimna, so it's ma'akev. So therefore, it's an exception over here because the Torah repeated it twice. So Meisvei, the Gemara is asking now a kasha on this version, is asking a kasha on this second version. Meisvei says mitzvah lahagril, it's a mitzvah to do the goyal, to make the goyal. V'im loy higril kosher, but if he didn't, then it's still kosher. So it's a mitzvah to do, but if it didn't, it's kosher. According to the first version that says, according to Rabbi Yehuda, everyone agrees that it's not ma'akev because it's done by Big Day Lovan b'chutz. Then we understand how many Rabbi Yehuda, then the Tan is Rabbi Yehuda. But according to the second version, but according to the second version, that says that even according to Rabbi Yehuda, that they still argue that even according to Rabbi Yehuda, they argue because even though it's done with Big Day Lovan Mechus, but according to Rabbi Yana, it's still ma'akev because Shana Lavakos la'akev, Bish la'laman damar loy ma'akev. We understand that according to Rabbi Yochanan, it fits in well that it's not ma'akev. Hamani Rabbi Yehudi, we'd say the Tan is Rabbi Yehuda. El Laman Domer Ma'akve, according to Rabbi Yana, who says Ma'akve, Hamani, who's the Tana over here? According to Rabbi Yana, everyone holds that it's Ma'akev. More answers, Tana Mitzvah Lahaniach, not Mitzvah Lahagril, not that it's a Mitzvah Lahagril, and if he didn't, it's still kosher. It's a Mitzvah Lahaniach, it's a Mitzvah to place the lot on the goat, and if he didn't, it's still kosher. But Lahagril is Ma'akev. So this explains that we're not changing the gears over here. It says what it means is, it's an explanation. When it says in the Hagril, it means this aspect of the Gairl, of the Hanocha, of placing it. But the Etzem Hagrola of the drawing of the lots, that is Ma'akev. More now another kasha on the second version of the machlokes Tashma. Let's bring it right from the following: Mitzvah lahagril ula hizvada is a mitzvah to make the girl and to make the vidoy, to say the vidoy, to confess. Loy higril loy hizvada. If he did not kosher, it's still kosher. So you see that even if he didn't do the hagrola, it's kosher. So this is a kasha on the second version because according to the second version, Rabbi Yana says even according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's ma'akev. Maybe you'll say here also. Maybe you'll say, what does it mean? It is not the hagrol. It means the hanocha, the placing of the laws. No, you can't say that because Amos Sefer, the Sefer says Rav Shimon Aimer loy higril kosher loy hizvad apostle. He is machalik and he says loy higril it's kosher, but loy hizvada, if he didn't make a vidoy, then it's possible. So my loy higril, what does that mean loy higril? If you mean to say that it's only if he didn't do the hanocha, if he didn't do the placement, then it's kosher, but not the drawing of the lots, not the hagrola. Michal the Rav Shimon Samar hagrola ma'akev, would that imply that Rav Shimon holds that the drawing of the lots is ma'akev? No, but we know that he holds it's not ma'akev. Al Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, Masechet Mehem, if one of the goats died, you have to have two goats. One Hashem, one Lazos. If one of them died, maybe Chavera Shaloi Bahagrola, Divrei B'Shimon, then you bring the second one even without a Hagrola. That's what Rav Shimon holds. Meaning, and therefore, if one died, you're bringing the second one without hagrola. The second one, there is no gairol. That shows you that the gairol is not makiv. So Rav Shimon's shita is a gairol is not makiv. So therefore, when Rav Shimon says lo yigril kosher, he's not only talking about the placing of it, he's talking about the gairol. So, and therefore, that is in that context. That's what the machlokes is. So the Tanakama must be saying when he said mitzvah lahagril is vadra lo yigril v'lo yisvadik kosher, he's talking about not the hanacha, but the drawing of the lots of the gairol. More answer is no. The Rabbanan really meant loy higril means that it's kosher, that loy hiniach. It doesn't mean the drawing of the lots. But Rabbi Shimon lo yoda ma kama Rabbanan. Rabbi Shimon didn't really understand. He wasn't sure what they meant. So v'hachi karmel, and this is what he says: I hagrola mamish kamrisu. If what you say that it's kosher, you mean the hagrola mamish, then pligalaya b'chada. Then I argue with you on one point, because I agree that the hagrola is not makiv, but I argue with you in terms of the vidui, because I hold that the vidui is makiv, and if he wasn't mavad, it's possible. Now, in the hagrola the kamra, I know hanoch, but if what you're saying hagrola means hanoch, meaning you're saying vidui is not makiv, and you're saying hanoch is not makiv, but the hagrola is makiv, then pligna aleicha b'tarti. Then I'm arguing with you on two points, because I hold that the vidui is makiv, and I hold that the hagrola is not makiv. So therefore, it's not a kasha. Tashma, let's bring a raya from the following: par makiv is a sor. The par is makiv the sor. So if he did something out of order, and he did did not do the par, and he did the sor ahead of the par of the avoid of the par is ma'akev the sor. The non-performance of the par before what the soyer, if he did the soyer before what he should have done with the par, that's ma'akev. The sor ain't ma'akev as a par. If he didn't do the soyer, it's not ma'akev the par. So if he did some avodah of the par before the soyer, it's not ma'akev. But matanas bifnim, and this is regarding the matanas, the blood applications bifnim. So, what's the case over here? Bishlama par ma'akev is asara. Then we say that the par, not doing the par, if he did not do the avoid of the par before the soyer, that's ma'akev the soyer. What's the case? The aktamel sor mekami par. If he did the soyer before the par, he did the avoid of the sor before the avodah of the par, meaning he did the avodah of the matanas adam, of the hazos of the dam, in the Kodesh Kadosh. He did it the soyer before the par, then it's possible. He didn't do anything. It's like he did nothing. That avodah of the soyer is as if he didn't do it. It's like non-existent, and therefore he has to repeat it at the proper time. He has to do the par, and after that do the avodah of the soyer. El soyer ain't makiv the par ma'niu, but what is it that the soyer is not makiv the par? Meaning, if he did the par before doing the avodah of the soyer, it's not makiv. What is that? Ilema, if you're going to say it means the aktem be'atonas the par behechal mekamim be'atonas the soyer bifnim. If he did the hazah of the par in the hechal before doing the matanas the soyer in the Kodesh Kadosh, meaning the order that he should have done was. What he should do is he should do the hazah of the par in the Kodesh Kadoshim. Then after that he should shecht the soyer, and then he should do the matanas of the soyer in the Kodesh Kadoshim, and then he should do the matanas of the par in the heichal, again connected the parayches, and then do the matanas lazos of the soyer in the heichal. So if you mean to say is that he's makdim the matanos of the par in the heich before doing the matanos of the soyer bifnim, and if you're going to say, and it means that even though he did it before doing the matanos of the soyer, chukah ksibu, it says in it chukah. Chukah means that it's ma'akiv, and therefore it's ma'akiv. Then since the matanos of the soyer are ma'akiv, and it's done, it's something that says chukah, he has to do the matanos of the Soar in the Kodesh Kadoshim. It says chukah, so now the way the Tosfos Rishonim is understanding it, therefore, the way he's learning, therefore, since the matanos in the Kodesh Kadosh is ma'akiv, that means even the order of it is ma'akiv. And therefore, if he did the matanos of the par before the matanos of the Soar, then it's ma'akiv. It's considered like it's non-existent, like he didn't do it. Because since it says chukah, and it says chukah applies to the Kodesh Kadoshim, to the matanos of the Soar and the Kodesh Kadoshim, even the order of it is ma'akiv. So that can't be the case. Ella, the Gemara says, "Olav the akta matanos the par bifnim," must be that he did the matanos of the par bifnim mekame hagrola. He did it before the hagrola. What he should have done is, the order that should be done is, the Kohen Gadol does his vidu. After he does the vidu, he does the hagrola. Then he does the second vidui. Then he brings the kaf machta of the ketayers to burn inside the Kodesh Kadoshim. Then he does the matanos of the par bifnim. So it must be that he's makdim. The case we're talking about is he's makdim the matanos the par bifnim. He does the matanos of the par before hagrola. Hagrola should have been first, and he did the matanos first. So therefore, we say, therefore, since he did that out of order, we say that it's not ma'akiv. Even though, rather, that he did it out of order, it's not ma'akiv. And therefore, we should say, therefore, since the order is not ma'akiv, since even though he did the par, the matanos of the par before the hagrola, it's not ma'akiv, that shows you, therefore, that the hagrola itself is not ma'akiv. Because if the hagrola was ma'akiv, as we're going with this assumption that we said before, is that if the avoid is ma'akiv, that means the order of it should be ma'akiv. If it's a kuva, like we said before, that it's chukah, if there is an ekuva on the avoida, that means that the sequence, the order of it is also ma'akiv. So therefore we're saying mesidr loy ma'akiv, vikar hagrola, nami loy ma'akiv. So don't you see, therefore, that hagrola is not ma'akiv? And therefore, it's a kasha on Rabbi Yanai, who says that even according to Rabbi Yehuda, it is ma'akiv. Gemara says, loy. That's not the case over here. That's not what we're referring to over here. What we're referring to is the aktim matanos the par b'mizbeach mekame matanos sar behechal. What we're referring to over here is that he did the matanos of the par on the mizbeach before the matanos of the sar and the hechal. Meaning the order should have been that he does the matanos of, after he does the matanos of the par in the heichal, he does the matanos of the soyer in the heichal. And then after that, he does the matanos of the par on the mizbeach hazav. Now, the case we're saying over here is that he did the matanos of the par on the mizbeach before the matanos of the soyer in the heichal. But we're not referring to the hagrola at all over here. Rabbi Yehudi, and it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda, Damar Dvarim and Nasim B'Vigdei Lavim B'Chutz Lo Ma'akiv, and it's going according to the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda that says Dvarim and Nasim B'Vigdei Lavim B'Chutz is not Ma'akiv. Therefore, this is not being done in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and therefore, even though he did the matanos of the par on the Mizbeach out of order, he did it before the matanos of the Sor in the Heichal, but it's not in the Kodesh Kadoshim, and it's not Ma'akiv, but we're not referring to the Hagrola at all. Correct the Gemara, how can you say that? That can't be the case over here. It says over here that we're talking about the matanos shebifnim. So we're not talking about the matanos on the Mizbeach, we're talking about the matanos bifnim. El the Gemara says that can't be, that's not the case. The case is talking that he did the matanos of the par in the Kodesh Kadosh bifnim. He did it bifnim before the hagrola, but it's going according to the Rishit of Rav Shimon that says hagrola is not ma'akiv. The Gemara says, maybe I'll tell you it's going to Rabbi Yehuda. It could be going according to Rabbi Yehuda that hagrola is ma'akiv. according to Rabbi Yana, that Hagrola is ma'akev. We need the B'sidr le'ma'akev, but even though the Seder is not ma'akev, even though the Seder of it is not ma'akev, the case is that we're said, like we said before, we suggested before, that he did the matanos of the par in the Kodesh Kodashim before the Hagrola. It's still kosher, the Seder is not ma'akev, but even though Seder le'ma'akev, Hagrola ma'akev, but Etzem Hagrola is ma'akev. We're not tying the two together. So therefore, the Tosfos Rishonim points out, if that's the case, then we're chayzer what we said before, that if he did an avoda outside before an avoda inside, that it is ma'akev, that the Seder is ma'akev. No, we're saying that even though the avoda is ma'akev, so Hagrol is ma'akev according to Rabbi Yana, the Seder is not. So similarly, if he did an avoda of the par, if he did the matanos of the par in the heichal before the matana of the soyer in the Kodesh Kodashim, even though the matanas of the soyer in the Kodesh Kodashim is ma'akev, but the Seder is not ma'akev, and therefore it would be kosher in such a case. The Gemara is chayzer from what it said before. It would be kosher because even though the avoda is ma'akev, but the Seder is not ma'akev.